Welcome to DEBcember. Thank you all for joining me today. Welcome, aka GoalChat. I'm Debra Eckerling, creator of the DEB Method for Goal Setting Simplified. I'm also the author of Your Goal Guide, a roadmap for setting, planning, and achieving your goals, and 52 secrets for goal setting and goal getting. You can't reach your goals on your own. You need your people. So every week I bring together some of my people. And as the first show in DEBcember every year, we celebrate the new year because why not give it a running start? And for the third year in a row, this has just become a thing. I have my return guests, Cherian, Ruggles, and Keith Spiro. And Keith was actually at the very first Start2025Now Party. And that was when we couldn't wait to get rid of 2020. I don't know. Are we excited to get rid of 2024? Are we looking forward to 2025? I'm going to say yes, because no matter what's going on in the world, we do have control over one thing, and that is our lives and our goals. And so today, in celebration of bringing only good things to us in the new year, we are back. So you may be watching this as GoalChat Live or watching the replay or listening to us as the GoalChat podcast on the Marketing Podcast Network. No matter how you found us, we are glad you're here and celebrating, I will say it again, DEBcember. Friends, I would love for you all to take a moment to introduce yourselves. So let's start there. Grant, it's great to see you. And I said this in the pre-chat. It's bizarre. I only see you once a year. So I think that should be a goal.
There we go.
The new year.
Goal for 2025.
We set our first one already. So Chris,
there we go.
Share who you are and why you are here.
Why I'm here? Oh. Well, hi, everyone. I'm Chris. I work on analytics over at the Museum of Modern Art here in New York City. I am here because I love chatting about goals, especially in December and DEBcember. And one of the keys is, of course, making sure that I get a head start on my year. Why set goals on January 2nd or December 31st when I could do it now? So I'm here because I love setting goals and I love setting them early so I can get a head start on the next year.
Awesome. And great to have you back. And Annie, same thing. Once a year we do this. I feel like we should hang out more often. So we're going to also make that a goal.
Well, I know we've already set 2 goals. And we can gift that goal, spoiler for the end of the show already, and y'all can also vow to hang out with Deb more than once a year. Y'all might not even hang out with Deb once a year, and that's a whole other goal.
So anyway, Annie, please share who you are, why you're here, and what you're so excited about being part of this conversation.
I am Annie P. Ruggles. I am the founder of the Non-Sleazy Sales Academy and Quirk Works Consulting and a brand new thing called a Legitimati where I don't even have a title yet. It's so new. But I am thrilled to be here because I always saw DEBcember when I called it December back in the dark ages. I always thought it was kind of a throwaway month, like not a whole lot of work gets done, not a whole lot of clients are available, not a whole lot of money gets historically made in a lot of my clients' businesses and in my business. And so I just kind of would let it sort of be quiet quitting of months. Nay. Then I met Deb, and Deb's like, no, it's DEBcember, and we use it to plan for the year ahead. And the last 3 years have been a joy doing just that. And I'm especially excited for that to happen because for a myriad reasons, I'm ready for 2024 to die.
Excellent. Well, great to see you, to have you here. And Keith.
Well, I'm excited to be here. I was at the inaugural DEBcember, and I always thought I would lose a month by starting the new year early. But with the last 3 years with this same crew, what I've realized is I actually get 13 months a year now. So the fun thing about working with Deb is by putting those goals together, in the month of December, I have a head start on the new year, but I'm also able to finish out the goals. And these things sit on stickers all around my office of what's happening, what's going to get done next. And I'm ready for 2024 to thrive while we get ready for 2025.
I really love that reframing of it's not losing a month, it's getting, because that's really the point. I mean, we could celebrate the end of the year twice, and we could celebrate the beginning of the year twice, and we make the rules so we can balance out everything, so we can celebrate our 2024 wins now and then at the end of the calendar year, and give a running start into the new year now. So when January hits, we're just on. It's so on. And it's so my new book, 52 Secrets for Goal Setting and Goal Getting, How to Stay Focused, Grow Your Network, and Get More Done in Less Time, is out January 14th. So for me, the ramp up is about, as it always is, celebrating what you've accomplished, what you've done to get there, but also setting your sights on the future. And I'm with Annie. 2024 was awesome until it was not awesome. So I think we're all, well, let's start with the reflection. What is it? What was your biggest challenge? We'll get that stuff out of the way in 2024. And how did you go beyond it, deal with it? And we're going to start with you on this one, Chris, because, well, you know why. Go.
Well,
because in the pre-chat, Chris basically said he watched 5 years of TV in the last 3 months because.
that's a good way of putting it. So if you saw the show last year, you might have noticed that I've had a slight title change here. I was working previously on a company, Gatherly. Earlier this year, we sold it. So I'm going to answer what I'm expecting your next question to be as well. So both the biggest challenge and my biggest win this year was selling my company that I've been working on for a few years. So that was, thank you guys. That was one of my goals from maybe not necessarily the beginning, but that was quickly one of the goals that came up when starting this company between me, my co-founders, and other customers, everybody, right? So this was in the tunnel for quite a while, and seeing it through this year was excellent. I remember, Deb, we caught up last year right after the Deb show, and you were like, you didn't talk about your company very much. And I was like, yes, because everything is under review right now. We're going through due diligence, and I'm trying not to say a single word about it. And that was really hard. So the challenge and the win are one and the same. Going through due diligence, selling a company was quite a stressful time. But in the months following it, I almost didn't know what to do with myself. So that was the joke we were discussing earlier. Now I have a lot more free time than expected. So catching up on TV and everything, and really allowing myself to be surprised. So going first, I guess I'm going to answer two of your questions, right? The biggest challenge and the biggest win. But hopefully that's okay.
We make all of the rules, so you can surely do whatever you want. But Gatherly, I suspected, actually, before the conversation, before we had our one-on-one after chat, I was not surprised, was I? No. Anyway, what was it, that whole process feeling like for you, coming to that decision and then seeing it to reality? Because change is good when you embrace it.
Yeah, it's such a good question. I think part of this, right, is, founders, business owners always joke, right? You're working in this company, it's your baby, right? That's just language you're going to keep hearing. And I think, yes, while that is true, I think the more accurate representation would be, and I'm sure Annie and Keith are going to agree with me here, it also becomes really part of your identity, right? So you almost take a second and you say, I feel like I'm selling my identity here. Right? Like, you become the company becomes you. It's a weird interwoven mess for quite a while. So when we first made the decision, weeks afterwards, I've just been considering, is this the right call? Am I really going to step away from this and hand it over to somebody else and allow somebody else to make it part of their identity? I guess so, right? So the decision itself was quite fraught with emotions a lot of the time. But at the end of the day, it became very clear this was good for our customers, good for employees, and that resonated with me, and I think got us through the entire process. So that's a little bit into what the decision was. The weeks after we sold the company, and even months after, there was still this weird feeling, right? I'd been used to going to parties and introducing myself as, a founder, right? And all of a sudden, I'm not a founder anymore, right? Now, that's not necessarily true, right? Still a founder, still doing all that, the stuff that I love, just not tied to this specific company anymore. So I think a lot of the challenge there was in overcoming what felt like a loss of identity, but was really just the growth into a new one, right?
I love that. That's awesome. And as someone who me is my brand, so I can't relate in that aspect, but I have book babies. So, and it doesn't matter what it is your project is. I have the books, I've got the shows that I do. And I guess because it's so intertwined, I don't get it. But the part that I do get is that because I do project management and communications work. So whenever I'm working with a company, I do take it personally. You know, I'm like the best. You want someone to goal wrangle for your company, I'm going to be your best cheerleader because I feel invested in everybody that I work with. So from that element, I absolutely can relate. And I love that the ultimate was finding a win-win-win. So for not just the people who purchased and the founders, but for the people using Gatherly. So it should be all of the wins. So congratulations. And I feel like by next year, you're going to have like a really fun, chewy, you're either going to find a fun, chewy extra project, or you're going to be like, I am so good at personal goals now. It's going to be one or the other for you next year.
I'm sure we'll get into that once we get into the 2025 goals.
Yes, absolutely. So Annie, switching back to you, and you might as well take the two questions together. Biggest challenge, greatest win for the year.
I think I had the solopreneur version of Chris in that this year was about weird ego death that wasn't really death. It was evolution, but it felt really freaking weird because I realized that I built things that I'm proud of but don't want anymore.
Okay.
Great way of putting it.
Right? And so, like, I'm proud of it, still proud of it. Put my name all over it. Can't find it without my name or my face attached to it. That's fine. But, like, I got so used to explaining to people, I'm a sales trainer, I'm a sales trainer, I'm a sales trainer, I'm a sales trainer, and I'm a marketing fixer, I'm a sales trainer, I'm a sales trainer. And in the last 13 years, that title has evolved so many times, but it's always been in a strategy vein, always. And I have had convinced myself without acknowledging it, that in my brain, the only pathway to success and money and anything that I wanted that I saw was on the back of me doing strategic implementation. And if I wasn't doing strategic implementation, then I may as well go get a job because there's no other way for me to make money, right? And what happened is I fill my calendar and my pocketbook with strategic implementation, and I like it enough, and I'm realistic, so I don't expect every moment of my entrepreneurship to be Disney birds. But yet I had to kind of look at myself and be like, cool. It's not Sisyphus. It's not the same thing every day, but it's about to be. Because if I keep going on this trajectory, I will keep filling my calendar and my life, because I live and die by my calendar, with the kind of work that I just tolerate because it pays bills and I happen to be really good at it. And I remembered that, like, if I had a job, I would talk to them about transferring me, or I would try to move companies. I would look for something new. But because everything is of my own origin, it's like sacred sunk cost fallacy times a billion. And I'm like, I gotta let it go. I gotta let it go. I gotta let it go. And so that was the biggest challenge, is who am I if not a strategist? So Chris, I totally feel you. Who am I if not the founder of Gatherly? You still are the founder of Gatherly. It's just not you right now. I still am the founder of the Non-Sleazy Sales Academy, and I still own all that IP, but I don't want to teach sales right now, y'all. And I'd rather go out to showcasing people. And one of the things I think is my biggest win was when I asked myself, what do I want to do? I came up with this idea where the very first thing I thought, me as a strategist thought, was I have absolutely no idea how to do that. And the problem excited me. And I was like, yeah, right?
You should be
I
using
have
this
your
book.
goal guide. I have the book and it's wonderful. And I pitch the book forever. Y'all read the book. But it's
No, but I'm saying I love that you have this question. And the reason, of course, that for the video I did hold up my book, because that's the whole purpose. It starts with, what do you want? What excites you? You may continue.
No, I'm just saying, like, I am the creator of my own destiny of work. And if I don't like it, I have to change it.
Annie, it feels like you were just like living in my brain there and just like fact dumping everything that I was feeling. Yeah.
I am in your brain. We just only see each other once a year, but that means 364. I'm just parked in that brain.
There we go.
It starts, choosing the life you want starts with asking yourself that question and looking at the pieces of your life and saying, okay, what am I keeping? It's like sorting clothes. What goes, what stays, and what are you going to put in the maybe pile? And if it's in the maybe pile, it probably is going out as well.
And what did you love but you have outgrown? There's a fourth pile of stuff that's hard for you to get away with because you look dang good in it and have good memories in it. But that's not the best you're ever going to look, babe. You can let that favorite item of piece, like that favorite piece of clothing go. Like, I'm sure that there was a moment where Chris was like, I peaked at Gatherly. I will never come up with a concept that brilliant ever again. What am I doing? And I'm like, if I stop teaching sales, then I will die in a box. And it's like, no, you will have other great ideas. You are capable of more. You don't have to keep a dress from high school. It's okay.
Oh my gosh. I one of the vivid conversations I remember when we first started the sales process was I was chatting with a co-founder, almost verbatim. I had said, what if we just never come up with an idea this good again, right? And he quickly talked me off that ledge. He was like, stop, you're being so silly. You're pretending like there's no other problems in the world to solve. It's okay. Everything will be fine. You're absolutely right.
And I happen to know for a fact that Chris keeps multiple notebooks of ideas.
Yeah.
So I am not the least bit concerned. And we're going to go to Keith in a second, but I have to shout out Pam, who writes to Annie. Reinvention, just something you want to do, is one of the bravest things we could do professionally. And that's it.
Thank you, Pam.
Recognizing that and saying, I'm going to do it anyway, which is exactly why I love and still love what I do as Goal Cheerleader Extraordinaire. Okay, Keith, are you excited to share your challenges and wins?
No, first I'm going to start by adding a piece to what has just been talked about, because what I hear from both Annie and Chris is so relevant to the people who I've worked a lot with in the past year, and those are artists. And every time an artist sells one of their pieces, it's giving away, losing, or never seeing again, perhaps, something that's a part of them. And so that sense of loss and can I do it or should I hold on to it forever? No artist wants to have the house filled with just their own work. It's not a sign of achievement. So I feel for where you are with that and congratulate each of you as you move on to the next steps. Now, I'll answer your question.
After Annie's other half, Ryan commented, every astronaut needs someone at ground control. Also, so true. And now back to you again, Keith.
All right. So biggest challenge in 2024, noise. Noise coming from every single level and direction, no matter what was planned, whether it was personal, life, health, business, that P word for politics. All of those things had impact in terms of being able to stay focused. And so it was hard, you know, and particularly when you're in the world of consulting, your jobs come to you or you look for them. And it's always about, can I stay focused? Can I get this particular thing? Ooh, there are 10 in the pipeline. Now what do I do? Only want to work on one. Well, can't do that. Don't have any. Now what do I do again? So the noise just kind of amplified to a tremendous level. And my biggest win was based on a lot of the things that, so I see Debbie more than Deb once a year. We see and talk to each other rather regularly.
Mm-hmm.
Her goal guide and setting all those pieces up was a major pivot for me in things that I was doing. And one of the things that I put together is the people that I work with. And I've had an advisory board now for a couple of decades. And it got serious during COVID when we switched to Zoom, and we never left Zoom. And we have different areas of expertise, but we have made sure that no matter what we have, talk about priorities, we have made sure to get together once a week. And we've been doing that for a significant period of time. And the biggest win of it was the day where it was not perfect timing. Somebody had to be here, somebody was out there, I was out on the Atlantic Ocean, but we kept true to ourselves, and we were able to pull off a Zoom call at the appointed time with one person in Scotland on a walk, one person in the mountains in a golf cart, and myself sitting on a sailing ship in the Atlantic Ocean. And for just a few minutes, we were able to connect and cross over. And because we're only 1 degree of separation, the captain of the vessel knew someone in the area of Scotland where the guy was walking on Hadrian's Wall. So explain that to the person who's then hearing, but where are you? Where in the Atlantic Ocean? So that's the big win. And really what makes it such a big win is staying connected with your people and your team and getting the advisors and the advisory support through the year. You know, we talked about it, and even before this call, I was thinking the big win I had, it really isn't about me. And so I'm much happier sharing this as the biggest win, is just the connection that continued despite the noise.
Isn't it though also, because I know these people that you've got this ongoing reconnection or connection with, it's also kind of a personal win, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely a personal win. We were each doing exactly what we wanted to be doing, when and where we were doing it, and we brought our friends along.
That is what do I say, at least twice every show? Now it'll be 3 times, because I'll say it at the end, you can't reach your goals on your own, you need your people. And it's also the thing with the new book, which, you know, you've got a tip in it, Keith. It's everybody in 52 Secrets is either someone I know or someone a friend said, oh, you also need to talk to this person.
Right.
And that's how we create beautiful alliances. That's how we bring art into the world. And that's how we up-level ourselves. And you've all a little bit touched on it, but I really want to highlight the wins from last year before we start talking about the plans for this year. What personally is your biggest accomplishment? Don't all jump in at once.
I'll continue from where I left off. So the biggest personal win was I signed a contract for an image to be used. And we've talked a lot about publishing your book, publishing your work. This is one that reflects on one of my projects. And like Chris, I can't talk about it right now because it is a signed contract, but it will become visible in 2025. And it will be part of a history textbook that will have at least some 20 to 40,000 copies published and be available online. So I can't share the image. I can't share the details on it, but it's a done deal, and it's very exciting and reflects well on the people involved.
November and DEBcember, the time for secret projects, I guess.
I was going to say, Chris had a secret last year. Keith has a secret this year. So I guess I have to have a secret for next year. No
Prepare.
pressure.
You have 12
Yeah,
months.
start working on it.
You have to have a secret that we'll only hear about in 2026.
Fine.
It's how we keep our contract with Deb. She has to bring all 3 of us back.
She needs content. So we have content lined up until 2026.
Fine. I will come up with some grand surprise for 2026. Fine.
You know, and you're talking about this. The conversations for my book started in the fall of last year. So, except it wasn't even a secret. It was just a kernel that grew into something that.
But that's why we need a DEBcember. You have to finish the old and prepare the new.
Well, and it really is great crossover. So, but we'll talk about the new in a second. I want to know, from you, Chris, what was your biggest personal win I'm going to guess what it is. Let's see if I'm right.
My greatest personal win. Well, the professional feels obvious, right? Like selling a company. I'm for those of you who don't know me, I'm in my mid-20s. Selling a company felt like a real capstone, right? I think I'm going to actually touch back for personal. I'm going to touch back on our conversation last year about what my goals were for 2024. And I think I was just going back and looking at the notes. You have to before the show, right? So I was going back and looking at the notes from like, what did I say last year that was my goal? And I had really focused on gratitude at the time. And perhaps very appropriate, we're coming off of a late Thanksgiving this year. I think there was a great quote that I saw in last week's show that was like, Thanksgiving is being able to give. What was it? It was being thankful for your ability to give, right? I'm making it a little bit my own words, but I think
very, very close.
There we go. Getting into this year, right? I think the personal win is I was able to have a lot of gratitude, and for the last 5 years, I felt like everything has been flying by. It's getting a call, answering it, solving this problem, putting out that fire, and I feel like 2024 for me was really a good year to be able to take a step back and savor, right? Live in the moment a little bit and stop looking. I know, right? It's a little bit wholesome, but thinking through that ability to savor where you are now, right? And like have that presence of mind. So if I were to touch on a goal, or excuse me, on a win, I would say it's presence of mind and not always thinking about what are the next 12 things I need to get done, and more so taking a moment and saying, wow, I'm really happy I'm here right now. I'm really pleased. Done wonders for my mental health. Recommended for everybody to spend some time savoring.
Awesome. And I just put the recap from last year's show in the chat, and I will put it in the recap of this. If you go to the debmethod.com/blog, you can look back on these for their goals. So, and actually last year, wasn't your goal to, what was it? Reconnection. That was your theme for this year.
Absolutely, right. And I think to that point, right, I had a lot of opportunities to give when I was working in the company, but some of those were more so obligations, right? Obligations to investors, customers, employees, right? Like, I think as founders or business owners, we always joke, yeah, you are your own boss, but in reality, it's your customers, your employee, your investors. Like you actually get like 10 more bosses instead of being yourself, right? Yeah, right. I see a lot of nods. So I think this year I got to have a little less obligation in terms of reconnection and a little bit more choice, right? Saying like, okay, like let me start reconnecting with people that I haven't. So Deb, that'll be my goal for 2025. We got to start having more chats.
Awesome. Love it. And just to circle back, Keith was teaching, and I think you really did have an educational component to a lot of what you did over the last year. So good on you, whether you remembered it or not.
It's on my list. Like Chris, I did my homework. What did I say last year? I need to know. She's going to hold me to it.
And Annie, this was supposed to be the year of Annie. And I kind of feel like in the realization of your next steps, you kind of made that happen, huh?
And like my brother Chris down there, I got really good at my self-care in different ways. I still have a lot further to go, but I read really beautiful novels this year, and I got a new therapist this year, and I worked out more this year than last year, and I ate better this year than last year, and I was kinder to myself this year than last year. And so that was kind of the thing that I am carrying forward into 2025 as the win for this year, is that I feel like I've gotten better at compartmentalizing my own sovereignty when the world is sort of on fire, and be like, okay, cool. That's terrifying. Also, are you dehydrated? Because you being dehydrated does not help that other stuff. And it actually might make it worse in some small way that could add up to some bigger way, right? So like, check yourself a little bit. So like, I drank a lot of good tea and I read a lot of good books, and I'm letting a personal win feel as weighty and important as a professional win, when in the past I'd be like, okay, so you read a book, who cares? You didn't write one. I didn't need to. What I needed to do is read more. What I needed to do is rest more so I could give myself the spaciousness and the quiet to be like, hey, PS, have you realized that like you're kind of super unhappy? And now you can just be super not unhappy by listening to yourself. Imagine that. Imagine it.
Almost like it makes everything else easy when you're
Right?
taking care of yourself.
Oh,
Who would have thought?
Imagine it. I don't even know. It's just wild. It's just wild to
They don't tell you that stuff in school.
It's
No, they
scary to
don't.
follow your own guidance instead of just giving it out.
Right.
I always say when I follow my advice, I do much better than when I feel like I know better than myself.
Yeah. My coach always says, take my advice. I'm not using it. And I just think that that's freaking brilliant. I love you, Jenny. You're freaking brilliant.
I also have to say, so Gris referenced last week's show, which is on giving, and Giving Tuesday is tomorrow. And it occurred to me last year, I was always doing Giving Tuesday on the Monday before Giving Tuesday, but then the episodes are released on Thursday. So I decided to do that for Thanksgiving week. But the person who made the comment about it being Thanks and Giving is Noah Bleich, whose company is the Tea Book. And Annie was talking about tea making your life better. And the whole, and in the spirit of what we were talking about last week, but also in this, is everybody here loves to give of themselves to help others. And knowing you need to fill your cup first, or whatever that cliche is, it's important. We have to do that, because when you take care of yourself, you not only are better equipped for your personal goals, but you are also better equipped to be a functioning member of your community and continue to help others. So that definitely cannot be stated enough. If you're listening, Annie just did the snappy dance, which means
I did. I did both snap and dance. True.
So before we go into your goals for the new year, I'd love to explore the whole theme thing. And I know it's going to be integrated with your goals, but what I know Keith chooses the 3 words. Some people choose 3 words. Some people choose missions, mottos, all of the above. I'm motto girl myself. What is your theme then for the new year? And then we will support it in sharing our goals moving forward. So, Annie, what is your theme for the new year?
Why not?
Okay. There's Annie Corzin who wrote the book of Annie, not the same person as you, but that is her entire philosophy is why not?
Well,
I'll have to introduce you.
I stand with all Annies in the brilliance of the name. And I need to read that book. And yeah, why not? Because I'm breaking up with over strategizing, and I'm breaking up with my identity as only a strategist myself. So why not? How to figure out if something's going to work? Well, do it. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. Maybe should I do it? Why not? Why not?
Breaking up with your former identity. So powerful. Seriously. Keith, what is your theme for the new year?
My theme is alignment. And
I've heard that word from you before. Please
Well,
explain for those who haven't.
Sure. It's the response to noise. It's finding the people, the passions that you can climb aboard and support or accelerate. It's those same people who pull you along when you're faltering. And with so many distractions and so many feeds that conflict with each other, not only do you find your people to get things done, but those alignments make it more fun. And so that's kind of the overriding theme coming into 2025.
And spoiler alert, your tip in 52 Secrets has something to do with alignment. Go figure.
Shocking
Shocking.
to be organized like that.
Amazing. I love it. And Chris, your theme?
Annie, we are on such a similar wavelength right now. My theme is exploration, and to go one level deeper, right? Going back to what we were talking about with identity, leaving that behind, ego death. One aspect of identity, or at least tying your identity to your work or your passion projects, is it does sort of create a little bit of a box, right? For 5 years, I was a video chat founder. So it'd be pretty weird if I was working on something completely different, right? I mean, some people can do it, but for quite a while, I was a video chat founder. With that behind me now, right, I feel like there's just such a fertile ground and opportunity to really do anything that I want to, right? Part of that was I picked up a role at the Museum of Modern Art, complete left field for a lot of my friends. They're like, wait, you're working on tech and now you're at a museum. So, like I've been able to jump around. I'll give credit to MoMA, phenomenally innovative, can chat hours about that. But to focus on the question here, right, I think part of that loss of identity has also been incredibly freeing, where I feel like I can do a lot of intentional exploration, and I can talk more about intentionality a little bit in my goals for 2025.
Amazing. Yes, we will get there. Well, we can get there now. So keep going. What?
Perfect.
Do we want to start with the personal goals, or do we want to jump into professional and then backtrack it?
I feel like this year my professional and personal goals are a little bit more intertwined than usual, right?
Oh, you just like answering 2 questions at once, but please go ahead.
Yeah, I just like condensing everything. It's a habit. Phenomenal. That's so funny. I think what I was touching on with my last answer, right, was intentional exploration. So rewinding through this year, we sold the company. I was consulting for the acquirer for a while. I said I'm going to go pursue something that I find interesting. Art, analytics, how they connect. And for the second half of this year, so we sold the company in the first half. For the second half of the year, I was very open and allowing ideas to come to me, which is like, in a way, some kind of exploration. Maybe we call it open-mindedness. I think I want to flip that next year. Rather than just being open-minded to opportunities that come to me, I think I'd like to set a couple of maybe like 3 to 4 areas that I'd really like to dive deep next year, spend some committed time exploring, really digging my teeth into it, and then going, like picking an area to dive deep and double down on, right? So rather than just exploration like a wanderlust, let's see where life takes me, I want to be a little bit more intentional about it next year compared to the second half of this year. But sometimes you need that, right? Sometimes you should allow yourself to be surprised.
You should, and you cheated the question a little, which is okay. You are completely allowed. We have the only rules in GoalChat are there are no rules. We make our own. Do you have something niggling at you that you think you're gonna boomerang back to?
I have 1 or 2 secret November, December projects that I'm working on.
I knew
it! So yes, I have some secret projects. Let's say ripe areas for exploration as soon as people get back for the holidays.
Okay, so your goal is it's like you're doing your itinerary right now and the voyage begins in January.
That is a great way of putting it. Exactly. And it's not to say that I have to go from, point A to point B to point C. I think there's plenty of room to be surprised next year and plenty of room to allow the waves to take me where they need to. But, there's a certain oceans I want to check out, if you will.
I think that's awesome. And I knew that there was a secret in there because, because why wouldn't there be? Now, the other part of it too, which I think is important, is it's good to have those little like giggle factors. And I know that sounded really girly, but
very professional.
I don't have a better.
Very professional.
The
I think I heard that in business school.
Deb, it's okay. You can be
the technical term is giggle factors. No, it's when you're developing ideas, and I know you all get this, you need to get to a certain point where you know it well enough in order to share it in the world. So that way, when you get the feedback, you can be objective about it. But it's almost like having those little things, it keeps you going. You've got a place to go in your brain when life is like raining on you. And you're like, but I know the technical term. I remembered it is called a hope, right? Is that not what those giggle projects are, but the hope for what you can create in the future?
I kind of like
Giggle
giggle projects. Yeah, I like giggle project.
I like giggle projects. It's stronger. Something's going to happen
Yeah.
from it. They'll laugh
It sounds
with you
down,
or
Deb.
help you.
Deb, it sounds like you're sort of talking about having, having goals to keep you focused during all the noise. At least that's how I hear it.
Well, that is the whole purpose of everything that I do. It starts with you. When you think about the life you want, what does that look like? And it's not just this one big thing. It's the little things that build into the big things. And I always have like a nonfiction, and I probably mention this every year. I always have like a nonfiction, not nonfiction, a fiction, a creative project that is always like off to the side. And every now and then I'm like, yeah, I should work on that because it is completely different from anything I do. And that's kind of the fun of it, right?
And if you indulge me, right, I think to tie the personal goal in, and I'm totally going to sound like a fortune cookie here, so please bear with me. I do think there is a lot of joy in the journey, right? When I think back to, you're going to hear me talk a lot about selling the company because that's what's most relevant right now. A lot of the joy didn't come from signing the term sheet, right? That's not the moment that I would point to being like, that's when I experienced the most joy. No, when I experienced the most joy was when we were a couple of guys in a garage tinkering around, laughing at the idea that a company would use this, right? Like the times that I enjoyed it were when we signed like, the American Medical Association as a contract and we were like 19, 20 years old and we were like, whoa, like, why would they deal with us, right? Those are the moments that I go back to and I'm like, wow, like those are the highest of the highs. Don't get me wrong, selling a company, phenomenal, great time. But that's not what I would point to when you ask me what were the most rewarding parts of that. It would definitely be all the wins and in a sick way, all the mistakes that we also made along the way.
And now I have to add a third thing. So now we need a professional goal, a personal goal, and a giggle project goal. So
you're curious about what my giggle project goal is?
Well, we'll circle back to you because I want to give you a moment to think, and I'm also want you to give me something concrete that I could put in the recap of what you're working on for the new year. So Keith, what is your personal, professional, and giggle project goal?
Okay, so I have to tie this into where Chris just came from. I see this infinity symbol in front of me. First thing I want to do is I want to gift Chris my 3 words from 2024 as he enters 2025. And they were learn, share, and do. And as he goes on to discovery and explore and all these wonderful, incredible things, it's perfect. That's where I came from, helping others in the education world. But the only word I've come up with so far to lead in 2025 is the personal goal. And that's where Chris just came from, which is the word gratitude.
We're trading. I love it.
It's a trade. Because all of the things that have happened, that are happening, I'm now taking that step back and saying, okay, I've done a lot of learning, sharing, and doing every step of the way. I need a deep breath, and I need to thank the people who have done things, picked me up before I knew I fell down. And those types of things. So from a personal goal standpoint, 2025 is the most conscious, visible part for me is around gratitude. The professional one is the alignment level of now making these projects a little tighter, working more closely in the places where it will have the biggest impact. And the Giggle project, I need a minute or two to think about. I mean, I know where the Giggle project is coming from. The arts to me has been everything. And if you want to eliminate noise, go sit in a concert or a theater, live performance. Everyone shuts their phone off. Those distractions are gone. And whether it's an hour or 2 hours, you have the moment when that artist gives away a piece of themselves. And you're sitting there receiving it at 100% attention. And that's huge. How will it make you laugh? I'll come back to the giggle later.
Okay, we'll do a 1, 2, 3 punch on the giggle project. Annie, goals?
I have been envious and in awe for a long time of people with a morning routine. And so I have been sort of dabbling in the last few weeks or months with the beginnings of a morning routine. I would really love to discover and craft as my personal goal for 25 a joyful, beneficial, gratitude filled morning routine. And hot note on the gratitude, my friend Cheryl just introduced me to an incredible song called Grateful by Saint Finnekin, Finnikin, I think. Unbelievably gorgeous song, perfect for grounding and gratitude, but that is definitely part of my morning routine. It's the first part. I haven't figured out the rest of it yet, but very much a gratitude basis for my personal goal. My professional goal along the lines of why not? I want to be kind of shamelessly stupid for profit. What I mean by that is I think the huge amount of information out there for small business owners is wildly boring. And so we don't pay attention to the brilliance that's all around us because we're bored. And I'm like, well, hold on. Everyone I know is hilarious and funny, but people just keep asking them the same stupid questions over and over. So what would happen if I took my favorite 5 people named Jen and put them on a council called the Council of Jens? I sent that email today being like, is this idea stupid? Yes. Do I think we should do it because I think it would showcase all of you? Yes. Are you in, Jens? Are you in? And it's like, why not? Why not? There's the why not. Why not do something joyful and stupid and see what happens? And so to do some joyful, stupid art is my professional project, not my giggle project. But then the Keith's giggle project thing, I will not get political in any way. I will not say anything political in any way, but the state of the world on multiple fronts scares me. And during scary times, art always flourishes because it has to. And I have been missing my art identity. For those of you who don't know me, I have a musical theater background. I don't sing ever anymore. And that part of me is sore and missing. And if we are going to respond by rising up and creating some gorgeous art, whatever gorgeous art means to you, I want to be a part of that. And I would like to create some music in 25 as my giggle project.
Annie, your Jen project sounds both like a project and something that made me giggle. But that's interesting. That's not your giggle project.
So your giggle project is performing in the new year.
Yeah, something that has absolutely no path to monetization whatsoever and is just art for art's sake. That's it.
Amazing. And I'm sure, and Keith is probably smiling on this as well, because that is what we put out in the world. And I have, I am releasing a book of joy, basically. That's what Secrets to Goal Setting and Goal Getting is about, is to encourage people to embrace the things that they love and do more of them so they can create the life they want. And it feels like releasing a book of joy in uncertain times is like the wrong time, but it is exactly the opposite. So for me, being able to embrace the fact that joy is going to be the counter to everything that's going on in the world, I'm okay with that. But it takes a minute. You've got to say, it's a blessing to build joy when there is joy, but to give joy when there's strife is even more important.
And how do you self-source that joy, right? Because it's got to come from somewhere in order for you to give it.
It's the giggle factor. It's whatever it is that makes you laugh and breaks down the barriers. Absolutely.
Well, expect a giggle factor post specifically on that, because I think that is the crux of what we're talking about. And I think it's great that your giggle project is not for money's sake, but if your giggle project turns into something that's monetarily awesome,
Don't
Good
threaten
on
me
you.
with a good time. I mean, sure, I'm not going to kick that money out. Like, yes, welcome. I receive you with so much joy and so much gratitude. But I just don't want to care about the metrics of a thing or the dollars
Mhm.
attached to a thing, because I want to have it have its own life that I'm not monitoring in the way that I monitor literally everything else in my life.
Well stated.
Yes. Okay, you have permission. Absolutely. Keith, do you want to go back to your Giggle project?
Sure. Giggle project is very, very easy. It's going to be something in the arts, not photography. I have absolutely no other skills but photography in the artistic world. Well, that's not true. Music and other things. But I think from a giggle factor effect, it has to be something that people don't expect of me. And everybody expects those photos, and they do all kinds of things. So to be determined as we go. But clearly, it's going to be not photography.
I think that's amazing. Okay, Chris, giggle away.
I'm so pleased to hear all this conversation about turning towards art, right? In a certain way, I hesitate to call it this because it's my job, but turning towards the Museum of Modern Art was I guess a little bit of a giggle project, right? It was, like Keith, you said, it completely out of left field. Most of my contacts were like, wait a minute, what? So it definitely was something that turned me away, but it sounds like all of us recognize that piece that, hey, art can be more than just something that you walk by, right? It's something that really draws out who you are, and it lets you really just like take a different perspective, whether it's you creating it or you're observing it at the theater, no phones, right? And I think back to one thing that one of my friends had asked me. They were like, oh, you've been working in this video chat company for all this time. How are you feeling about working in an office? My answer was like, well, is it really an office? Because I sort of get to walk by Monet's anytime. Like, it's like, there's something like, is it really that kind of like that bad of an office? Like, I don't think so. Right. So like, I think turning towards art has been one, but to give you a giggle project for next year, right? I think, Deb, stop me if you've heard this one before, but I found myself rewriting the same texts and emails very often, giving advice. So I might need to start putting that into a single consolidated source, perhaps through writing, and put that together.
Are we going to do a book? Is that it?
I don't know if it's going to be a book, right? It could be a blog. It could just be a single article that's like really well thought out. But I found myself repeating the same things a couple of times. For you, I'm guessing it's explaining how to set goals. You probably were repeating yourself a bunch of times before it eventually turned into a book. So I think my giggle project for next year will be, I do a lot of writing, but start to write for others rather than just for myself.
I love it, but I'm gonna see your
I'm at
goal.
the other end of that spectrum, Chris.
It adds to that because as you all know, one of my specialties in addition to goals is helping people with book proposals. I really think it is time for you to think in terms of book proposals. I will send. I just did an article for Writer's Digest on how to write a winning book proposal without the stress. I will put that in the recap as well, and I will send you the link, so something to think about. And it's to do it the way that I teach it is what you're already doing, is putting all your notes together. And then when you're ready, we're going to have a conversation. This is going to be fun for me. So I have a new goal, which is to get Chris to write a book proposal. There you go.
So I guess I'm gifting you. I unintentionally gifted you a DEBcember goal.
Amazing. And you were you saying something, Keith?
This is the year of gifting, I can see for certain, as we've each been trading those around. But what I was laughing at was when Chris got to that particular point of putting this together and doing these things, I'm feeling myself at the exact opposite end of what he had said.
It's that infinity sign you were talking about.
It is. Mm-hmm. I'll go back, and we don't need to spend time now on it, but it's an amazing balance.
Man, so Annie and I are in the same headspace. Keith, you're on the flip side. So next year, yeah, I'm curious to see how it turns out next year.
Well, I have to come up with all of these surprises. Is how it's going to happen next year.
Yeah, you have to have a secret project, Annie. It's all the rage these days.
That's kind of amazing. It is always such a joy. And I really do love that we do this one with the same panel for DEBcember every year. So obviously we'll be touching base DEBcember 2025. But before we wrap, I would love, so you've all been very generous in sharing what you're working on and what you've been through this year. I would love for you all to gift a goal to the audience, because what is something that you've learned that you want to gift them that they can work on so they can set themselves up for success in 2025? So, Keith, what goal would you like to gift?
I'm going to gift the goal. The most important thing somebody can do for 2025 is start writing. Write a book, write content, publish. And the reason I give this tip is something we've not touched on at all throughout the rest of the call. But this is because of the big AI phantom that everybody's worried about out there. And the best way to feed it is feed it your own work. And that makes you an authoritative voice. So start writing, create content, write a book. So when someone says, who is Keith Spiro, whether it's Copilot or any of the various things that will evolve quickly, your name will keep coming up with what it is you're doing. That's the gift. Spend the time, think about it. It jumpstarts your personal and business life.
Love that. Well, you know I love that goal. Any goal that starts with a pen or a keyboard. I am totally on board. Chris, what goal are you gifting?
So I mentioned my goal for next year was intentional exploration. So the goal that I'll gift is actually the first piece of that, intentionality. I think that this year I've been able to really enjoy being a little bit more intentional with what I do rather than being dragged along by whatever noise comes up in the day, whether it's like a customer calling me or an investor like pinging me, whatever it is, being able to step away from that and rather than just responding to everything, being a little bit more intentional. Today, I'm going to do this. Yes, there's all this noise that exists. I'll handle that, but I'm going to go to bed having finished this, right? And I think that kind of intentionality has both improved my mental well-being, but I also see myself walking or actually even like running at this point towards some of the goals that I have because I have that intentionality. So that'll be my one-word gift for next year.
Awesome. Okay, Annie, what goal are you gifting?
I gift you the blessing of letting something go. And you get to determine if you're going to kill it with fire or transition it out or sell it like Gatherly, like whatever you decide you want to do. But you get bonus points the more you love the thing you're letting go, because sometimes we lug along the things we love and then that keeps us from getting other stuff we love. So I gift y'all the gift of killing some stuff.
Or selling it free, but I love that.
Or selling it again. I'm not going to say no to monetization. I teach sales, for goodness sakes. Make your money, y'all. But like, if something's got to go, you know in your gut what that thing is. It's probably been that thing that you're like, if I were brave, I would do this 6 months ago. You are brave. Just do it. Kill the thing. You can do it.
I feel like everyone talks about how hard it is to start things, but you're really touching at this piece of how hard it is to end things, right? Like in some ways that's sometimes even harder. So I love your goal, Annie.
Oh, thank you.
It's so you were talking about getting rid of the things that you love that don't really fit. So it fits in really well with that. And I was going through storage a few weeks ago and I found my prom dress. What the heck? I need with the prom dress from the 80s. So some thrift store or vintage store is going to be really, really happy for this one. But not just, so the things that you get rid of that are not serving you, it doesn't have to be going through storage, although I think that's going to be one of my goals in the new year. But it could be a part of your business or even a relationship that you know is not healthy for you. So you can get, it could be dealer's choice. but get rid of something that is not serving you, because you are going to have so many other things that you can fill that space in your heart and your mind with instead. Thank you all so much for today. I love that we do this. Where can people learn more about you, Chris?
You can reach out to me anytime if you want to. If you're in New York, you want to visit MoMA, or you just want to chat about tech ideas, whatever it might be. You can reach me at my LinkedIn, which I believe will be tagged by Deb in the description.
Yes, I will put everybody's website except for you. You will have your LinkedIn twice. And if you go to the debmethod.com/blog, you will get to watch the replay and read the recap and get all the links. So, Annie, where can people learn more about you?
AnniePRuggles.com, or hit me up on LinkedIn. Send me a message. I'd love to talk to you.
Fantastic. And Keith?
KeithSpiroMedia.com. And also LinkedIn is a great tool for interactions and seeing where I've been. Plus, I can see where you are if you're on LinkedIn.
Awesome. And as I said before, I am at the Deb Method everywhere. And I am live every Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific. And then it also goes up every Thursday as an episode of GoalChat podcast. So you can subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. And GoalChat is part of the Marketing Podcast Network. So if you want even more fill of motivation from a personal or professional standpoint, you could check out the other shows, or if you need some help with your goals, grab a copy of your goal guide, a roadmap for setting, planning, and achieving your goals. It's a great gift for yourself, but also for a loved one who's ready to start that fun exploration of what is possible in the new year. See what I did there? Oh my goodness. Always a joy to celebrate DEBcember with you all. What final thought do you want to leave people with? Chris, final thought?
I think my final thought would be, regardless of whether you're in your exploration, letting go, or gratitude stage, as long as you do it with intentionality, I think you'll find yourself reflecting well at the end of next year.
Ooh, and we get to reflect next year. Isn't it kind of fun that a year from now, you're going to be asked about it?
It has a nice accountability piece, right? Like, I know that I'm going to get asked about it, so I better start having an answer for it. Might as well start now in DEBcember.
Excellent. My work is done. Okay, Annie, final thought?
Well, if I nailed my year of self-care, which I did, I'm going to tell y'all, go take a bath, go read a book. You just spent an hour with us, and that was rad. But how can you keep the good vibes going? Go do something joyful, pleasurable, make yourself laugh.
So self-care keeps the good vibes going. I like that I feel like that can be like a new mantra. Awesome. Okay, Keith, final thought.
Final thought on this is the alignment that I started with the word passion tied to it. No matter what's going on, good, bad, or otherwise, if you hang on to something you're passionate about, or someone that's doing something passionately that you might care about, it'll make its own alignment and it eliminates the noise.
Link alignment with passion. You will not be disappointed, and you may even be more fulfilled. Gotta love it. Thank you all so much for joining me. Chris Cherian, Annie P. Ruggles, Keith Spiro, and if you've been watching live, thank you. If you're watching the replay, if you're listening to us, we are so glad that you're choosing yourself and your goals and celebrating DEBcember with us. So think about what the new year has in store for you. But before that, remember to celebrate the wins, because it's that energy that's going to keep you going and excited about all the possibilities that the new year has in store for you. So set some goals, celebrate those wins, go for it, because we know you can do it.